Thank you and welcome to this regularly scheduled City Commission meeting for February 14th, 2023. If you all would, please join me and stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have a call for attendance, please.
Commissioner Bowles.
Here.
Commissioner Thomas.
Here.
Commissioner Pruitt.
Here.
Commissioner Witt.
Here.
Mayor Staten.
Here. This week, we have had a lot of reasons to celebrate. We've also had some pretty tough things happen, and we have lost one of our own in our city employment with our police department. At the beginning of this meeting, I'd like to invite you to join me in a moment of silence to honor Officer Janet Gatton, and we'll start that right now. Thank you. To pay tribute and honor Officer Gatton, I believe that we have prepared a video presentation that we would like to show, and after the video, we'll invite our Chief McKinney up for a few words. If you would, please play the video.
Janet started with the Henderson Police Department August 16, 1999. Her time here, she worked in traffic and patrol. Also, she was acting sergeant for a period of time in 2012 to help out the shift. Since 2013, she's been a member of the hostage negotiation team. She's also a defensive driver instructor.
This actually is my last week in active duty as an HPD officer. Come Monday, I will be retiring after serving 20 years. To be an officer, you need to be really good with talking to the public, interacting on and off duty, because you never shed this persona.
1999. Janet started with the Henderson Police Department August 16, 1999. Her time here, she worked in traffic and patrol. Also, she was acting sergeant for a period of time in 2012 to help out the shift. Since 2013, she's been a member of the hostage negotiation team. She's also a defensive driver instructor.
This actually is my last week in active duty as an HPD officer. Come Monday, I will be retiring after serving 20 years. To be an officer, you need to be really good with talking to the public, interacting on and off duty, because you never shed this persona that you're an officer. I may be in personal clothes, but I still have this badge on my chest, and people know that. So you have to be willing to engage with the public, whether it's the kids, the elderly, with your family or with not. You just need to remember and think, what type of officer would you want to interact with if you needed one? You try to want to police that way. And just remember, it's all eyes are on you. So whether you're in uniform or not, people still know what profession you're in. It's very important to have a rapport and a positive outlook from the community. We've got to have a good connection with the community to do our job. The community is what makes the police department. We can't solve a lot of crimes without the community's information. I know that a lot of them don't want to get involved, but they can give us tips. We have a Crime Stoppers line. They can call a station and talk to detectives. They can talk to officers that they have a rapport with. We don't want the public to be scared to give us information if it will help solve a crime, because even if they're not the victim of it, they may have seen something and they may not think it's important, but it may be important for our investigation. And we need people like that to give us information to help out. I highly recommend people put cameras on their homes in today's world. A lot of times they may not be the victim of a crime, but that footage will help us solve a crime for someone else.
Chief McKinney.
Commission, thank you all for giving me the opportunity to speak about Officer Gatton. For those of you that's in the crowd here that don't know, I'm Chief McKinney of the City Police Department. Officer Gatton served with us in 1999, and then she retired in 2019. After retiring, she had a diagnosis of colon cancer. After the diagnosis, she received treatment, it went into remission, and then she came back and applied to the City of Henderson through our retired officer program. What I like to say about that is Officer Gatton was a great police officer. That video sums it up to a T, the way she done business. And I'm so appreciative that she came back to work with us. And I'm so proud to be a part of what she loved to do until she couldn't do it any longer. Jana fought a fierce battle with cancer. She never backed down. She never wanted attention for her. The attention was always on awareness and for others in the community. She was so positive through the toughest of times. What an absolute amazing example for all of us here today, all our officers, young and old. I'm just so grateful to have known Jana the way we did. The last 2 days I've been able to speak with those that were closest to her, and this is the things that I heard when I asked what they thought of when they thought of Jana. Tender, compassionate. She didn't want the attention. She wanted the attention on cancer awareness. Positive. Very loyal person. She was very loyal to the City of Henderson Police Department as well. She was always thinking about others. I spoke with her wife, Angie, who talked about how happy she was to put the uniform back on when she came back as Trooper R. She described it as a kid's first day of school. She was so happy. She loved going to Jefferson Elementary and being with the school kids. She would even go to the librarian and ask who loved to read books but didn't have the money to buy them. And she would actually, behind closed doors, buy the books for those kids. What an amazing individual. I'm just so glad to be a part of that. Mayor, if you would mind, would you come up and we have a presentation. Angie, would you come forward, please? This is Angie, Jana's wife.
Angie, on behalf of the city, Jana meant a whole lot to us, a whole lot to our police force, and I'm positive she meant a lot to you as well. Please accept this flag on behalf of the city.
A lot of times you can't put into words how appreciative we all are of the sacrifice that each person who puts on a uniform and serves this community the way that you do on a daily basis. It means a lot to us, it means a lot to the community, and to feel that loss it's felt community-wide. Our next presentation on the presentations list is an impromptu presentation. I spoke with our local director for Henderson Water Utility earlier today, Bart Bowles. We have had some questions this week related to an incident that happened way upstream in Ohio about a train derailment and how that could or could not impact our water supply. And so, Bart, if you don't mind to come up and go over some of what we spoke about earlier and give us an update, please.
Thank you, Mayor. As you guys know, East Palestine, Ohio, there was a train derailment on February 3rd. And we've been monitoring that for over a week now. We've been working with Orsanco, which is the Ohio River Valley Sanitation Committee, and Evansville Water. They've been testing the Ohio River, spot testing it several times a day. We've been emailing them back and forth just to kind of see. It's about 550 miles upstream is where the plume is. If you think the plume, it's more like a raft floating on the river. That's what this is. And basically, it goes on the surface of the water, so it will evaporate, dissipate rather quickly. We don't expect it to get here. The city of Louisville doesn't expect to even get there, but we are preparing just in case it does. We've got several things. We're in a good location where our intake is. Typically, the natural flow of the river is on the opposite side of our intake, so that helps us tremendously if there's a plume, if there's anything going on. So that's a huge deal for us. And also, if it does make it to our intake, we inject our water with powdered activated carbon. That will take care of it. That will absorb it. That will get it out of the water. So to us, we don't see any issues coming, even if it does make it here, with the quality of our water. So we feel pretty confident in that. And I think even Louisville had a press release saying the same thing, and they're 120 miles upstream of us. So we feel pretty good about it, and we're continuing to watch it every day, multiple times a day, and feel confident that we're going to be okay with this. So. And we've also posted, something on our Twitter page, our Facebook page, and our website too, if you want to read about that. So, that being said, I'm open to any questions you might have on that.
All right. Does anybody have any questions for Bart? Bart, we appreciate you all doing what you do. Just as an added anecdote, an interesting aside is that on our powdered activated carbon, we used to be at a certain level, and our drinking water was in compliance, but as we went through the discussions related to the PFAS chemicals over that span of about a year and a half, that work group, the water department actually increased the amount of powdered activated carbon that they were putting through our water supply to filter out impurities that made our drinking water even better. And because they have been doing that for a while and continue to do that, it dramatically lessens the likelihood of, just like you said, of even if it makes it to our intake, which we do not expect to happen. No. Even if it were to make it to our intake, our filtering system, we're very confident that it will catch it and that we have no concerns whatsoever with our drinking water. Is that accurate?
That's very accurate. Yes.
Thank you, sir. And I appreciate the update.
Thank you, guys.
All right, next on our list, we have a presentation from Abby Dixon, the director of our tourism department, to tell us a little bit more about our downtown hotel feasibility study.
Yes, thank you all for having me. Like Mayor Staten said, I'm Abby Dixon. I'm the executive director of the Henderson Tourist Commission. And you all might recall back late fall around the holidays, we came to you all to let you know that the Vision Committee was recommending spending budget on a downtown hotel feasibility study. What we've seen happening, all indicators are pointing towards tourism in Henderson continuing to go up. Our business community is growing. We're growing as a destination for visitors, and something that has been in the vision plan and then on the downtown master plan is upscale lodging in our downtown district. So we chose to work with Hunden Strategic Partners out of Chicago. If that name sounds familiar, it's because we worked with them also for the sports complex feasibility study, 7 years ago now. So the guys from Hunden came down. We spent a great day together in Henderson, spent time one-on-one with lots of stakeholders. They heard about projects going on, what the perspective of our locals associated with the tourism industry is, and then they followed up with lots of phone calls with even more stakeholders in our town. So I am hopeful that the guys from Hunden are on Zoom and that link all worked out. And there's Rob. So I'm going to turn it over to...
Yeah, the others are here too.
Great. So we've worked with Rob, Sean, and Lucas, and they're the A-team. They have been an absolute joy to work with. And I'll say this, I am so excited about what the findings of the study are, what the recommendations are, and what the experts believe that our market could not only handle, but what would thrive here in Henderson. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Rob, and if you all have any other questions, I'm here. Rob?
Thank you so much, Abby. Really appreciate it. Sean and Lucas want to turn on their live cams. That would be fantastic because they're really the stars of the show. And I know we're going to keep it pretty brief, just really going to take you through the executive summary. But, the concept here was for sort of a nicer version of a hotel than what you have currently, and sort of our findings related to that. So I'll let these guys take it away, and then I'll be available to as they will, of course, to talk Q&A at the end. And I really hope that and then we have some, I don't know, Abby, if we're talking any bit about any additional work today or not, but happy to talk about that as well. So I'll turn it over to Sean and Lucas and let you guys go from here.
Thanks, Rob. Just as a summary of our key findings for the project, for our SWOT analysis, some of the strengths, Henderson does have the revitalized and activated downtown, the development of downtown event and meeting space, the vault, the proposed downtown distillery development, and its proximity to Evansville and Owensboro. Also see that as a potential weakness, as it is in proximity to more developed cities with a lack of entertainment assets currently in Henderson and lack of downtown parking. So opportunities for the project would be growth in destination appeal and tourism with increased corporate demand and future additional development downtown that would be encouraged by this project. And lastly, some threats that proposed demand-driving developments aren't completed, increased construction costs and interest rates, and lack of funding for the project.
And Sean, just to jump in real quick, just so because a lot of people in the room may not know exactly why we were hired and what we were studying and the concept, the vision, do you want to just sort of restate that just to level set everybody since we sort of just jumped right into the SWOT there?
Sure. So just headline is, for the project hired to look at potential boutique hotel development in downtown Henderson. So our job is to do a market and financial feasibility study on that proposed development.
And we do know that those are all of your current vehicles sitting in the downtown strip. And just throwing a little joke in there, but go ahead, guys.
All right, thanks, Rob. Just some of our key findings, Henderson does currently lack quality hotel products, which limits Henderson's ability to capture potential demand, which is being lost to Evansville and Owensboro. By developing a unique boutique hotel concept downtown, Henderson can recapture and induce unaccommodated demand and increase economic activity in the area. With the revitalized downtown, as well as development of hotel-inducing demand generators, such as the vault, and the distillery will help support year-round business at the proposed hotel. Premium products can also help induce corporate demand to assist in weekday business and support higher than market rates. And though initial funding may be a challenge, successful development of a boutique hotel can establish synergies with other developments that would be encouraged by the presence of this type of asset. For our recommendations, we do recommend the redevelopment of the Sober building into a 50-room boutique hotel. We also recommend either a basement or rooftop restaurant and bar within the hotel as well. This will offer executives, groups, and leisure guests a complete experience within downtown Henderson. And we also recommend at least one parking space per room be identified for guests. For the layout, the Sober building we believe could fit approximately 10 rooms per floor, with the second floor additional space for amenities such as a fitness center, spa, or yoga studio. We are assuming an additional F&B offering in the hotel, or alternatively, Hometown Roots could provide food and beverage service for the hotel. We also looked at a potential smaller room count at 35 hotel rooms with some additional apartments above, which would allow for potentially 6 to 8 apartments with a 35-room hotel concept. We do recommend as the next step, the city hire an architect to get a better understanding about how the room count can work ideally within the existing structure and to get estimated costs for the project. Just as a summary of our projections, the 50-room hotel would produce a stronger operating margin compared to a 35-room hotel option. The 50-room hotel can bear $25,000 more per room in supportable financing compared to the smaller hotel, making a 50-room hotel the optimal choice for development in Henderson. And that's all we wanted to go through on this presentation, and wanted to open up for what questions you guys have.
One thing, just before questions, this document is about 150 pages long. It's very interesting. The way that they captured some of the interviews, I think you'll find really interesting. If you would like to view that entire document, it is on our website, hendersonky.org/research. You can find this study along with lots of other really riveting data for your enjoyment there. So turn it back over to you guys for questions and answers.
I wanted to point out again, just to reiterate why we did the study. We did the study because we believe we need this. And when you're talking to developers, one of the first questions, if I'm not mistaken, Abby, that they ask is, where's the feasibility study? Is that accurate?
That's accurate.
Yeah, and so a lot of them, in order to be able to feel good about making millions of dollars worth of investment, this is the first step for them to see the feasibility of having the hotel in our downtown area. One of the things that I was excited that I heard you mention was a rooftop bar, not necessarily the bar part, but the rooftop view and everything else from that hotel. I've never been on top of the Soper building, but I understand a lot of people in Henderson have.
It's a trek up a ladder.
I'm scared of heights, and so I don't think I could do the ladder part of it. But if there were an elevator that went to the top, I could do that and enjoy the view from up there. Do we have any questions from the members of the board or commission about the project, about the feasibility study or the potential project, or anything along those lines?
I didn't really see exactly, did we got a location that, that we really wanted to be at, and I didn't see that on it.
Sure. And this is, this is like the Cliff's Notes version, of course. We toured 3 different locations with the team from Hunden on the day that they were in market. So we looked at the Big Rivers building, the Soper building, and we looked at the building on the corner across from Hometown Roots that has kind of the angular entrance, old Latta Insurance building. I think the guys from Hunden really fell in love with the Soper building, not just because of its history and how neat it would be to kind of revitalize that story. It was a hotel in its glory days. Would you all, I know Lucas and Sean were here, would you all like to touch a little bit more on what your thoughts were with those properties that we toured?
Yeah, I think, with Big Rivers, it was potentially a great location, located closer to the river and had additional parking, but just structurally and cost-wise didn't seem to make sense. Too large of a building, I think, for what we're proposing. And then the old bank building would just be too small to fit a number of rooms that we're recommending, and a lot of it those rooms would have to be on the first floor, which wasn't ideal.
Do we have any other questions from the Board of Commissioners? All right. Well, great job on the study. I'm excited about what can happen, and I'm also excited about the prospects of having a hotel downtown, especially in light of the recent announcement that we've had with the distillery. When you've got something that comes in that's going to bring tens of thousands of new and unique visitors to our downtown area, and you couple that with all of the festivals that we have, with the restaurants that we have and that are still coming, and all the other things that we've got going on downtown, I think a hotel makes a lot of sense for Henderson. And I also believe that there are people out there already, in light of the feasibility study, who have some interest. And so I'm hoping that is a discussion that continues to roll forward, and we're very pleased with the work that you all have done. Thank you so much, Abby.
Thank you. I would like to say, these projects are really fun, and my gosh, when we talk about a rooftop bar, those are the sexy economic development projects, right? We like rooftop bars, we like nice hotels, but at the heart of this, it's about economic development, keeping people in Henderson. If they stay here, they're eating at our restaurants. We want people to come here and spend their money. We don't want them to stay across the bridge or in Owensboro. So it just makes good business sense to be able to offer that here in Henderson. Thank you all for supporting our work on this study, and stay tuned. We're hopeful that we'll have something really nice downtown sooner rather than later.
Oh yeah. Thank you, Abby. Before we move on through the rest of our agenda, is there anyone in the audience who has business that they would like to bring before the City Commission that is not on our current agenda? Yes, ma'am. Please come up.
Yes, I'd like to have,
If you don't mind, can you please
my
state your
name is
name and
Elaine
address for the
Martin.
record? Elaine?
yes, and I'm down here because of, back a couple of weeks ago when we had the hard snow and ice, my daughter had fallen on the sidewalk, and I'm here to ask why we don't have a code to keep the sidewalks free of snow and ice, because it was packed pretty heavy. I've got a sidewalk at home. I live right out 2nd Street, not far from it, and then I put a bag of salt on mine, and in 2 days it was all gone. Now this had been almost a week, and it was still hard as a rock. There hadn't been any salt put in that location. Now, half a block had salt on it, and it was clear. But then you would go for 2 stores and there wouldn't be any salt, and then you would go for 3 stores and there would be salt on it. And she fell, she spent 24 trips in the past year, physical therapy, because she's got a disease they call CRPS. It's nerve damage, and I'm not saying this hurt it, but it sure didn't help it. And so they've got her on a bunch of medications. She can't even drive. I have to drive her everywhere because she's on pain medications and muscle relaxers. She's on 10 different medications, and she's trying to get right now her disability. But it scared me so much. That ice was so hard. If that had been a pregnant girl or woman, she could have very easily lost that child. And I'm just wondering, everybody assumed, I called the different city offices, everybody assumed there was a code to enforce it, but nobody could find one. And Mr. Thomas is the one commissioner, and I appreciate him returning my call when I called him, and he said he was trying to get the city to buy a gator to help distribute salt when these occasions happened. And I was just up here to support that, because it seems like any spare money the city gets goes to sports. And you'll have to forgive me, I'm a little confused. I've been under cancer treatment myself for about the last 18 months, and I don't remember all. It seemed like they were building a sports complex.
Yes, ma'am, we are building a
And
sports
like I
complex.
said, I was on heavy medication, and I'm in remission now.
Thank God.
Yes, and I want to know why there's no codes for the, and will the city make one and enforce it and have a penalty? Because a code is no good if there's no enforcement or penalty. But one of his suggestions is getting a gator and getting somebody to spread the salt is one of the best ones I think I've heard of. And I worked at John Deere for 40 years when they come out with a gator in 1992. And I can tell you, they got the Kawasaki engines in the gators. And I'm retired now, but in over 40 years, I've probably seen the Kawasaki engines have problems where they had to go into them less than 5 times. I can count on one hand because they're the good engines. I'm not working for John Deere anymore. Don't get any money from them. All my severance pay's been taken up, and in fact, it was one of them kind of they pushed me out the door and wanted cheaper people, but I got severance pay out of it. And and if you buy one, again, I'm not working for any of them, but I will tell you this. The one in Morganfield has got the best small engine lawn and garden boy around. And that's when we moved back to Henderson. I was at corporate when I worked for Hudson down at Mayfield. And we come back, we took our lawnmower to him, even though they pushed me out the door a little sooner than I wanted to go, but he was the best mechanic around. And anywhere you buy it, it's the same price, because John Deere has a government thing, so it doesn't matter if you buy it from here or out in California, you pay the same price.
Sure. Well,
Excuse me, let me get this right.
oh, go ahead. Yeah.
Location, where did she fall at?
She fell at 130 North Main. And I got the location of the building, and I was talking to Mr. Wilkerson there at the shoe store. I know him. When I worked at Moffitt's, they used to, a lot of them would be in and out of there talking to and hanging out. And I called, everybody told me that building was owned by Field and Main. And I called, and a lady called me back and said somebody, whoever was in charge of it, had put salt all around all of their banks. Well, I don't know who she was or who had told her that, but I put a lot of salt out. I've been single 40 of my 71 years, and I've done a lot of shoveling and salt myself. And there wasn't a bit of salt on that sidewalk. Now, Mr. Wilkerson didn't have any the first day. The first day I took my taxes down there and left them. There's a tax office above his building. And I went in there and I was fussing at him then, because I said I knew him from back then. And the next day I come down there, he had put salt all the way out to the street, and about half of the others had. Because, like I said, I talked to a lot of people trying to find out who was responsible. There should be a code, there should be enforcement, and there should be a penalty. And like I said, my daughter, I don't think it hurt her. It hurt her worse that day. I don't think it did any permanent damage. Not looking for any compensation, because this is something they can't do anything about. They have tried, it's something new, and the doctors can't do anything but give her pills for lessen her pain. And I'm just worried about, like I said, if it'd been a pregnant woman or a young girl that was pregnant, she could very easily have lost her child over it.
Well, ma'am, I wanted to first say I'm sorry about what you've been through and about what your family's been through with that situation. Buzzy, do you want to? Do you have any thought as to how we might be able to look into what we do have on the books and what we don't have on the books, and what other communities are doing to kind of progress this conversation forward?
We can check into that around Kentucky cities of our size, and we can report back that information to y'all, and then we'll look for your direction as whether or not you would want to prepare an ordinance to address this issue. I will say that if we do this, we will need to look at the expenses that are associated with it. And then the other question is, we have a downtown area, but we also have other public sidewalks in our community, and we will need to identify where this ordinance would pertain to. I will tell you, I've been in communities in Michigan and Wisconsin that have such ordinances in place, but they also get not inches but feet of snow. So, it's inherent to their nature that they have to deal with it. Unfortunately, here we have snow events. Some years we don't. And with this past event, it was more of an ice event. And the question becomes, will ice melt or whatever you propose putting on it work? And a lot of it depends on weather conditions, much like we treat our city streets. So we'd be glad to bring something back to y'all.
I got a question. On our businesses downtown, most liability insurance covers their sidewalk that extends out to the curb, correct? So
we believe so.
Yeah, so I'm sure we take care of the city places and try to get the ice off and put things down for city buildings and stuff, but
Well, I called every they gave me each department, and nobody really knew of any code existing. And Wilkerson asked me even how far from the curve she was. And if there is one, I think it should go all the way to the street, because the curve gets broken pieces in it where people run over it and stuff too. Somebody could fall and twist their leg real easy.
Well, the real problem that we have concrete sidewalks, and then we have brick pavers between the sidewalk and the curb. And in those areas, we have trees planted, light poles planted. So, the question becomes, how do you deal with a situation like that? And that's just something that, if y'all desire, we will come back and present something to y'all.
I think that's a fair request from us, is I think in light of the information that you've brought us, and in light of the fact that we obviously do not have an organized way to deal with it, that it would be nice if we could look into it, see what we have on the books, and then field any suggestions that you may have for making that better.
Yeah, like you said, I worked downtown at Moffitt's and then Ohio Valley Tractor for 11 years. And I know how the ice and the snow situation is. Some of the buildings are so tall, it doesn't melt in certain areas, and some of them where they have more sun, it melts it easier. But I still think it's a dangerous situation, and people need to be protected. They have to go in and out of these businesses. This was a tax business. We weren't down there, shopping for fun or anything. And I know there's sidewalks all over the town, but I'm interested in downtown. I mean, people know there's sidewalks at home. They need to take care of them for their mailman.
I might also suggest that as we look at it, that we involve the chamber, specifically because they have a downtown Henderson partnership and have an arm that looks out for downtown, and they are in constant contact with business owners, and this would be a situation that their input would be very valued on. Does anyone else on the commission have any thoughts as far as, I think if we leave here and you guys come back to us sometime maybe before the end of March with something that shows where we're at and what we are doing, and with suggestions maybe gleaned from other cities on what we could be doing better, that'd be a great way to start this conversation and see what we can do to make a change.
I believe we truly need it for the safety of the people who could fall and easily break their leg, twist their arm, or at the very worst, lose a child, because that ice was hard.
Yes, ma'am.
And
It was
stopping.
hard 'cause I shoveled it.
Yep.
Excuse me?
It was hard because I shoveled it.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You were one of the few, and what would it cost if a young girl or a lady fell and lost a child?
Sure.
I mean, we're talking expenses here, but you've got to talk safety too.
Well, I think what you brought us, you made some very good points, and that it is something important, and that we will definitely take a look at it.
Thank
So
you.
thank you so much for coming before us. We appreciate it.
The auditor's feeling better.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, she's not going to get it any better much, but like I said, I don't think this hurt her. It didn't help her any, and it made her hurt worse short term, but long term, they told her there's nothing they can do. And it's just something fairly new. She's been to specialists. She's even been to Louisville, and she's trying to get her disability now because she can't even drive on all that medication. And she can't work either with her. It's her hand and all the way up and down the back, and the other hand, back of the hand's swelling up, and it's just like that. But I appreciate you listening.
Thank you so much, and thank you for bringing it to our attention. We appreciate that. We have a consent agenda with a couple of sets of minutes and a, what is this, a resolution? And one resolution.
We have the minutes of the January 24th, 2023 regular meeting and the January 24th, 2023 called work session, and resolution number 13-23, resolution authorizing submittal of a grant application to the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, Federal Emergency Management Agency under the Assistance to Firefighters Grant Program in the amount of $249,525 with a 10% match, accepting grant if awarded and authorizing the mayor to sign all necessary documents.
Before we get a motion on this, is there any item on the consent agenda that any commissioner would like to pull for further attention or discussion? Hearing none, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve, please. Do we have a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Bowles?
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas?
Aye.
Commissioner Pruitt?
Aye.
Commissioner Witt?
Aye.
Mayor State.
Aye. Next, we have a resolution opposing the passage of Senate Bill 50 and House Bill 50.
Resolution number 14-23, resolution opposing the passage of Senate Bill 50 and House Bill 50 relating to partisan local elections.
All right, before we get any discussion, can I have a motion to approve, please?
So moved.
We have a second? Second, okay. So now we have a motion and a second. Does anybody have any questions or comments or discussion concerning this particular resolution?
Well, I do. When it comes to politics, I think our founders had it right. They wanted to look at an issue from one look from this side and one look from that side and take the best and put it together. Well, we've gotten so far away from that in this new millennial era that we're in. I think we should keep it opposed because we should just pick the best person who wants to do the best for the people, no matter if you're a registered Democrat, Independent, Tea Party, whatever. So that's why I oppose it.
I wanted to ask Dawn. Dawn gave me a statistic earlier that was kind of surprising. Do you mind to share that with the Board of Commissioners, please?
About how many cities?
Exactly. Yeah.
Right now, cities in Kentucky number 115. Cities currently have the right to have partisan elections if they want to, but only 6 out of 415 cities have chosen to have partisan elections.
So we have 409 cities that are nonpartisan, including Henderson, Kentucky. Commissioner Thomas, you look like you were about to say something,
No,
sir.
I just said let the voters decide. Yes.
The,
I'll say something.
yes, sir.
I was just going to say, I think when we look at our politics on a state and a national level, a big problem with it is the partisanship. They should be doing the exact opposite of what they're proposing with these bills.
Well, and I think just for my comment side of it is, I think it's dangerous to assume something about somebody just because they're labeled or appear to be a certain way. Not all Republicans believe in the same things. Not all Democrats believe in the same things. And just because someone has an R or a D beside their name on the ballot box, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're for lower taxes or anti-abortion or for guns or this or that. It really does depend on the person. And I also believe that right now, or I know that right now, we have the freedom in our city to choose what's best for us. You know, we have the freedom to choose a nonpartisan election. We have the freedom to choose a different setup that could cause us to have a partisan election. And if the state were to take that right away from us, not only would they be centralizing government instead of pushing it out to the people, but they would be taking away some of our rights and freedoms that we have as a city currently. And so for that reason, I also oppose. Any other questions or comments?
I was just going to say, I feel like local decisions are best left for local individuals to make. To kind of echo what you're saying, I'm worried about the erosion of the home rule, and cities are best left to make their decisions. And as the state continues to pose their thoughts, to me it's a slippery slope, and you don't really know where it's headed next. So it's more than just partisan elections or not partisan elections. It's them continuing to perhaps try to engage in local government, and that's best left for us to do.
And we don't often vote on resolutions to send to the state to tell them how we feel as a city about something they are considering. In this case, we're joining a few dozen other cities who are voting on similar resolutions to send to the state. And with that, I'd like to invite a roll call, please.
Commissioner Bowles?
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas?
Aye.
Commissioner Pruitt?
Aye.
Commissioner Witt?
Aye.
Mayor Staten.
Aye. Next, we have a municipal order awarding a bid for mowing of city property.
Municipal order number 04-23, municipal order awarding bid for mowing of city properties collectively named as Group A1 to River City Services, LLC of Henderson, Kentucky.
We have a motion to approve.
So moved.
We have a second. Any discussion or comments? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Bowles?
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas?
Aye.
Commissioner Pruitt?
Aye.
Commissioner Witt,
Aye.
Mayor Staten.
Aye. Next, we have another municipal order awarding a bid for mowing of city cemeteries.
Municipal order number 05-23, municipal order awarding bid for mowing of city cemeteries to Knights Landscaping LLC of Henderson, Kentucky.
Do we have a motion to approve? Do we have a second? Any questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Vowles.
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas.
Aye.
Commissioner Pruitt.
Aye.
Commissioner Witt.
Aye.
Mayor Staten.
Aye. And we have a municipal order awarding a bid for purchase and installation of picnic shelter.
Municipal order number 06-23, municipal order awarding bid for purchase and installation of a picnic shelter for Newman Park to County Line Companies LLC, doing business as Play Pros of Kokomo, Indiana.
All right. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Are there any questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Vowles.
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas.
Aye.
Commissioner Pruitt.
Aye.
Commissioner Witt.
Aye.
Mayor Staten.
Aye. I know we have something on the city attorney's report, but before that, we have a couple of appointments. We're going to entertain these together. There are two openings on the tourism board, and these are joint appointments with the county. The county voted on these two appointments successfully this morning, and so I'd like to offer for your consideration David Miller, who is the new director of our Audubon State Park, to serve out the unexpired term of Mark Keelan. And then Casey Todd would serve out the unexpired term of Krista McGann. Do we have a motion to approve those two appointments?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion or questions? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Vowles.
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas.
Aye.
Commissioner Pruitt.
Aye.
Commissioner Witt.
Aye.
Mayor Staten.
Aye. Next is city attorney's report.
I have a really short one. Commissioner Witt may not know, but you all are familiar with when we propose a change to the zoning ordinance, the recommendation comes from this board to the planning commission. Then the planning commission has a hearing and provides a recommendation back to you all before we make that change. In looking at our zoning ordinance, we realize that we have never included a definition for model homes. And so our recommendation is to add a definition for model homes in our zoning ordinance under definitions, and then to allow model homes as a permitted use in R1. And the way that our zoning works is all residential areas, permitted uses stack. So it will be R1, and then it'll go through all the residential. So if you all are agreeable to that, and model homes can only be open until such time as the last lot in the subdivision would be, if you all are in agreement, we would need a motion to send that to the planning commission. Planning commission will, if we do it tonight, will be able to get that on their March agenda.
Dawn, would we need just a general consensus to push this out, or would it be
We
better
need
with
a
a motion? So we need a motion to push this out to the Planning Commission for further discussion, is that
Yeah,
correct?
for a public hearing and recommendation.
All right, can I get a motion to
moved.
that effect? We have so
Second.
moved from Commissioner Thomas and a second from Commissioner Pruitt. Is there any discussion or questions? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Vowles.
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas.
Aye.
Commissioner Pruitt.
Aye.
Commissioner Witt.
Aye.
Mayor Staten.
Aye. We have need to go into executive session. Well, I'm sure we'll have commissioner comments. We'll save those for the end of the meeting. I did want to instruct the audience, though, and I'm sure that most people are aware, that there is a strong potential that we will come back from the executive session that we're about to have with some exciting news and action for the city. So please consider the idea of coming back into the room after our executive
Go to the
session.
second floor.
What's that?
We'll leave.
Going to the second floor? Okay, yeah, actually, you can stay here, and we'll go to the second floor, and we'll be back. Do we have a motion for executive session, please?
I move that the commission go into executive session for purpose of deliberation of the possible sale of property located in the vicinity of Barrett Boulevard and US 60 East pursuant to KRS 61.810, paragraph 1, subsection B, for the purpose of economic development in the siting of a project pursuant to KRS 61.810, paragraph 1, subsection G, and for the purpose of discussion of proposed litigation against the city of Henderson pursuant to KRS 61.810, paragraph 1, subsection C.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Bowles?
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas?
Aye.
Commissioner Pruitt?
Aye.
Commissioner Whitt?
Aye.
Mayor Staten?
Aye. And we will return All right, I'd like to have a motion to come out of executive session, please.
So moved.
Yes, Commissioner Thomas first. Commissioner Pruitt second. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Vowles?
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas?
Aye.
Commissioner Pruitt?
Aye.
Commissioner Witt?
Aye.
Mayor Staten?
Aye. We have a municipal order to consider for a new housing development.
Municipal order number 07-23. Municipal order approving sales and purchase contract between the City of Henderson, seller, and Deer Valley Subdivision LLC, buyer, for the purchase of 86.201 acres of real estate, more or less, for the sum of $1,550,075 for the purpose of economic development and providing a new single-family housing development to support the recent job creation in Henderson. The purchase will be in 2 closings over a 5-year period and approving lease agreement between the City of Henderson and Deer Valley Subdivision LLC for approximately 43 acres, being the remaining balance of real estate included in the second closing, and authorizing mayor to execute sales and purchase contract and lease agreement on behalf of the city.
Okay, I believe Missy's going to tell us a little bit more about it, but in this case, let's go ahead and get a motion and a second. Do we have a motion to approve, please?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, Missy Vanderpool, our head of economic development, will come up and tell us a little bit more about what we're going to be voting on. Missy?
Thank you, Mayor. So as Marie read on the municipal order, we're here to talk about a 300-home development. The municipal order said Deer Valley. We have Bill Jago joining us today with Deer Valley. This is a up to 300 home development that we're discussing. In the last 18 months, Henderson Economic Development and the city and the county of Henderson have announced the addition of 828 jobs. The average wage, thanks Commissioner Pruitt. So with those job announcements comes the need for housing. And it's a nationwide crisis that the whole nation has been facing. It ties in also to the workforce. And so to attract workforce, we identified that there was a need for housing. We added a housing component into our strategic plan. I know the commission as well spoke back in 2021 that housing development was going to be a priority for the commission. I'm happy to answer any questions regarding the development that you may have.
I want to ask one that we asked earlier, but just because we're in a public forum, can you give us a little bit of an idea on timeline as far as what we're looking at?
We are hopeful to see some dirt work this summer. Hopefully this summer we'll start seeing dirt move. Weather, lots of things, permits, a lot of things go into that, but we are very hopeful that we will see dirt moving this summer.
Gotcha. Any other questions or comments or?
Price range on homes?
We don't have that. Some of that will be on market demand. I think we'll see anywhere from a starting range of $250,000 to $300,000, but we'll see what the market demands. I will also add, I have a couple realtors in here, but some data from our current market that we're in now. Around the average price of home selling in Henderson right now, the average of all is about $200,000.
Gotcha. I did want to point out too that we have the opportunity to have success in the future in a number of different price ranges. This is just one of those price ranges, and this is a huge success. I very much look forward to our partnership with it. And correct me if I know the one name, but I don't know the other one again. Was it Deer
Valley?
Deer Valley. Thank you. I look forward to our partnership with Deer Valley and with Jago on this particular development. I think it's going to be nice for the city of Henderson. So
I personally want to say my background in real estate makes this one kind of a personal piece for us. I'm so excited to welcome them back to Henderson. So.
I'll say thank you, Mr. Jago, for being here and for being willing to make the investment in Henderson.
We look forward to that. I started here when I was 21 years old.
Okay, great. Welcome back.
Welcome back to Henderson.
Yeah,
we
welcome
very much appreciate you coming back.
We're glad to have you back.
We need the homes, and I think the development's going to be a huge success. Do we have any other questions or comments or anything?
I'd just like to thank the whole team that,
Absolutely.
Don and Buzzy and Missy, you guys and your team, it's not just you three, but, it's a lot. You guys have really done a great job, and over the last 3 years, you've putting in a lot of hours.
Thank you. We
Yeah, it's
feel
just
very
a-
supported.
It's another example of how we're able to collaborate
Yeah.
in the city of Henderson to get really good things to happen for our citizens.
Y'all know I always say it, you're going to get tired of me saying, but economic development is a team sport. We just have the best
That's
team
right.
around, so.
We got a dream team here on
Yes,
the
concur.
We probably got the best governor in the United States.
Well, I'm excited to call for a roll call, please.
Commissioner Vowles?
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas?
Aye.
Commissioner Pruitt?
Aye.
Commissioner Witt?
Aye.
Mayor Staten?
Aye. With that, do we have anything on the city manager's report today?
Remind you, we have a work session next Tuesday. We're going to begin it at 2 o'clock, not 3 o'clock. And on that agenda will be Dylan Ward will be presenting the Fire Station 1 final plans. And then Robert Gunter will be discussing our future on bond issues as well as a mid-year budget review.
All right, thank you, Buzzy. And Commissioner's report. Commissioner Vowles, do you have anything for us today?
Just tell everybody here, we had the city-county co-op meeting today, and we scheduled a joint city-county meeting that we would like you all to, everyone on the commission to attend if possible, on March 21st at 9 a.m., where we're going to be discussing 911 fees and our joint agency funding.
And that meeting, I'll add, is actually a joint meeting with the city commission and the fiscal court. And so if you would, please do plan to attend because we'll need a quorum for that one. But yeah, thank you. Commissioner Thomas.
Just welcome, Jago. I'm glad you're back. Yeah, and happy Valentine's Day.
Commissioner Pruitt.
Yeah, I don't know if everybody knew, but Henderson County High wore City High flags, jerseys, and uniforms last night
Really?
at the basketball game, and made me feel good. But they didn't advertise it very well, so they're going to do it again. And so we'll be looking out this season. They're going to wear them one more time, City High flash, and it really looked good.
Yeah, that's cool.
That was good.
Good deal. Commissioner Witt.
Nothing to add. Don't want to keep anybody from their Valentine's Day plans.
I got to work.
All right, and the only thing I'd like to add is tomorrow at 3:30 at the Municipal Services Center, which is at 1449 Corporate Court, we will be having the initiation, or excuse me, not initiation. Help me with the word I'm looking for. Thank you. I knew it was a shun word. We're going to have an orientation tomorrow for our inner city improvement plan program, and we've got over 60 participants. I don't know how many people will be able to join us tomorrow, but it's going to be exciting. It'll probably last about an hour to an hour and a half. Looking forward to that kicking off. With that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All right. All in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.